Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Five Heart Podcast, the number 2 podcast in all of Husker Nation. And we thank you for that. We couldn't do that without you. We're number 2. Number 1 is Husker Podcasts, and I'm pretty sure those are put on by Huskers.com. Numbers 3 through 26 can kiss my ass. They don't count. We're better than them. And we couldn't do it without you. The loyal fans, men and women, boys and girls, our adoring public. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko. Joining me is, of course, the founder and fearless leader. You know him, you love him. Men want to be him, and women want to congratulate him and his wife for their many years of marriage. John Dam Johnston. Hello, John.
Guess what I did today, Greg?
You took the dog for a walk.
No.
You bought your wife some diamonds.
No.
You robbed a bank.
That's 3. No, I got a haircut.
Oh, I couldn't even tell. I think they need to take more off.
You can't see it because it's dark and my headphones are on, but the sides are even.
I'm so proud of you, John.
Yeah.
Did you get some of your locks tied up in a little bow and put in an envelope? Your first haircut post-mortem?
No, I never think of these things.
Well, that's what I do. I think of odd shit that nobody else does.
I guess.
And you see him, you hear him, he's laughing, he's having a good time.
You do that. You know, before we start the podcast, I mean, no people don't know this, but your voice sounds like a 9-year-old boy that just got hit in the nuts during a T-ball game. And then suddenly you turn on it, welcome to the 5 Heart Podcast. And it's this fucking glorious radio voice. And it's I can't, how do you do that? It's annoying because I can't really.
It's as much as it is an on-off switch, for the microphone. I've learned to control the inflection in my voice. So that, yeah, when we're off mic or before we start rolling sound, yeah, I can sound a little more unprofessional, I guess we could say. Or as you put it, a 9-year-old who got kicked in the nuts. That's me. And, sometimes I do talk like this and I just can't really control it all the time. But then as soon as you hit record, and Zoom tells us we're recording, it's hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the 5 Heart Podcast. Joining us, as always, Todd, damn, he's a handsome man, Wolverton.
Thank you, Greg.
You can tell I'm full of a lot of shit tonight.
By a man I respect for a while.
I thought you were going to say, A, you hadn't been told you were handsome in a while, or you hadn't been told you were handsome by a man. So either way, I'm happy.
Either way, take it any way you want.
I will.
Any way you want.
That's how I do.
Why do you have a Pittsburgh shirt on?
Because I was in Pittsburgh and I wanted a souvenir, but more importantly, it's number 21, and that would be Roberto Clemente, who was he's one of my all-time faves. Good for you, Greg. You were probably not even a twinkle in the eye at that point in time, but
still swimming around my dad's nutsack.
So yeah, you try to buy
souvenirs. He was a fabulous player. Fabulous.
So you try to buy
not only
souvenirs.
that, but I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, John, but he's also like the chief. Correct me if I'm wrong. The chief humanitarian award in Major League Baseball is named the Roberto Clemente Award.
Right. Exactly. He was. He died in a plane crash. Right. That was delivering stuff to survivors of a earthquake or something like that in Nicaragua. I don't remember all the details. I do remember when it happened, and it was tragic. But yeah, he was a lot of fun to watch. Really enjoyed him.
Yeah.
So do you buy shirts, souvenirs in each city you go to just to do?
No, but
dementia is hitting.
No,
can't remember.
I do not buy shirts everywhere I go. I've got plenty of shirts, and I don't need souvenirs from everywhere. But we were in part of Pittsburgh down where the old warehouses were. We went there to get a sandwich from Primanti's, I think.
Primanti Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the main purpose. But they had all these Italian markets there. Oh, my goodness gracious. And I've seen old photos of Pittsburgh Steeler fans with their tailgating and these massive slabs of meat and like coiled sausages and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we saw all that. They must all just head there prior to their tailgating activity. So
very nice.
Pretty cool part of town. So.
Well, did you, 2 questions about a trip out that far east is, did you get any Yuengling beer or Iron City beer?
We did Yuengling beer.
Okay. Iron City's not bad also, just so you know. It's not as good as Yuengling.
I'm sure I probably had one, but no, I am a Yuengling fan. So
America's oldest brewery. Anheuser-Busch can suck it.
There you go. Suck on a Yuengling. Suck my Yuengling.
Yeah, it's June.
We're off the rails.
The middle of June. There's no reason to get all that excited.
Hey, you know what? Here's the magic number for today, 73. Why is 73 important?
Can I tell you?
Yes.
It is 73 days until Nebraska Northwestern in Ireland.
There you go. There you go.
It's very interesting. I came across this in my Facebook memory feed. It was a few years ago. I want to say maybe 2017. Our beloved John Johnston put together, it was 80 days till kickoff. And it was a video that John put together themed around the number 80. It was really good. And I said, John, why don't we have more of those?
Were you speaking in the past tense?
Why don't we have more of those? Yeah, but I'm asking you the question. Why don't we have more of those, John?
I don't know.
I mean, you did a highlight on you did, it was music, it was still images, and it was information that might be depicted in those images. So
I did a video like that with still images in it.
Mm-hmm. One no wording, no speaking parts. But you did there was still and some information about the 1980 football team. Among others, whoever was the played that wore number 80 at that time. There was information about Mike Rozier and one of his statistics. I think maybe the career rushing yards ended in 80. So there was Kenny Bell, who wore number 80, and you said you're talking about All-Americans, and then you come to Kenny Bell, who, while he had a great career, never made it to All-American level, but you said who I think says something like Kenny Bell wore number 80, had an All-American smile or something like that.
He still does. Kenny Bell has to be one of the most loved guys ever.
So, but it just, I was like, that was very nice. I think people could use a little bit of that fun again, John. So today, as we're recording this, is 73 days. I'm not saying you have to have something for 72 days, but maybe
60. Maybe we'll come up with 60. A jingle for 60, because I'm 60 now, and the number 60, it's the greatest number of all.
60 is a lineman number, and you love linemen, so
yeah, 60. I don't think isn't retired. That isn't. What was Tom Novak's number? Is that 50 or 60? He was a center. It's probably 50. Wait a minute. We said we were going to just talk about it.
I know.
We are going off rails.
But this is important. While we're talking about John being 60, I have on my phone here a picture of John's report card from Medicine Valley Junior Senior High from 1975, when John was failing a class. And about the ability, the notes say lack of good study habits and lack of effective motivation, for attitude, boisterous and disrupting, lack of cooperation, lack of serious approach to studies, and for performance, lack of attention, which is underlined also, or participation in class. It says John must learn to keep his mouth shut when asked to do so. Mouth shut in all caps. I have never had a student that can talk more and cause more disturbances than he can. He has great potential, but he must learn to aim his energies in a constructive direction rather than disruptive. John.
Yes.
Would you like to tell Mr. Fickenshire to fuck off?
I think he's no longer with us, but yeah, no, I wouldn't actually. See, the problem was I wasn't actually failing music. I was failing Mr. Fickinger, and he knew that the teachers knew that the only way to get my mom to come to school to talk to him about anything was to fail me in something because her kids didn't fail anything. And so my understanding or my remembrance is that she met with him and he basically said I made him more nervous than any kid he'd ever been around. And they kind of agreed that he would not fail me for music. She said, you will stop driving him insane because I know you're doing this on purpose. And she was right because she could read me very well. And then she said, and we've come to the agreement that you will just, you will avoid him for the rest of your high school career, basically, which I did. I dropped out of band. I don't think I might have taken choir, but I think it was with somebody else. But we did our best to avoid each other. So,
well, glad to see that.
Problem solved.
All those instructions you got.
But I was going through a box of old things, and there were a bunch of report cards in there. And this is not the only one that states John must learn to be more serious in his studies. It was from another teacher. But that was the one I expected to be in there from Mom, and she saved it for me. And I posted it, and then we've gotten a lot of comments. And
I stole it just so I could bring it up on the show.
I'll bet a lot of your high school teachers were surprised that you graduated college in 7 years.
You know, you know what else was in the box? We did underground newspapers at our school. And I didn't realize it, but I guess I was involved in 3 years of that. I knew the class before me, they weren't really that interested in it. So me and one of my best friends did their underground newspaper, which basically consisted of going around and asking all the seniors for their senior will. You know how you had an annual and you had a senior will where somebody would say, I wish everybody could live together in peace and harmony. Right? Okay. Well, we did the
love, peace, dope.
We did the underground paper, which was printed at my Catholic rectory because my priest allowed me to run off copies of it, many of them. And
well, the Catholic Church is the largest charitable organization in the history of the world, so that lends to it.
So he let me run off these underground newspapers. We would come in the morning and we would just leave a giant pile of them in the main locker area, and people would pick them up. And they would include stories about our school. They would include personal ads that were fake, obviously. And one of the things they would include was class wills. And the class wills were from everybody in the class that we could get to actually write something down. And they were stuff like comments on teachers, stop looking down my shirt. You know, it was, I wish Mr. Da-da-da's, he would stop dropping his pencil all the time when I wear a dress in his class. I mean, they were the honest things that people wanted to write about their teachers, and that's what we published. So those were in the box, and I was kind of surprised at, you can see it behind the graphic of a report card. And one of them says is about our principal in it. Our superintendent, who was Mr. Wall. And it said, why doesn't he learn the table one chant? And the table one chant was something we did at lunchtime where a number of us would sit at table one and we would yell, what was it? Table one, we're the boys from table one. Where the hell is table two? And we would go to this fucking principal's office for this, for profanity. I mean, that's not even profanity, for God's sakes. It's just fun. And they hated fun. And let's move on. What's going on in Husker fandom? We can post the image of the report card in the show notes. Because it's pretty. A teacher couldn't do that these days. They'd be, there's a lot of.
Well, about the only stuff that's going on Husker wise is recruiting stuff. And
recruiting.
There you go. And, Nebraska baseball apparently got a transfer from Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State had a good season this year. Cayden Brumbaugh is the guy's name, who Will Bolt recruited really heavily in his first year at Nebraska and hoped to get him here. But now apparently Brumbaugh he entered the portal down at Oklahoma State. He's an outfielder. And I'm not surprised that Coach Bolt's looking for outfielders.
Is he a good outfielder?
It sounds like he's a good outfielder.
Oh, God, thank God.
So anyway, so that's baseball news. But then you guys are more in tune with what's going on with the old pigskin. And there is a baseball connection with that because the young man that we got from Texas, his dad was a major league pitcher for the Oakland A's. And he had a wonderful first name. I mean, Todd. And
Jesus,
so it doesn't get Todd for the Oakland A's. See, this Todd would have loved to have been an Oakland A, but wasn't very good at it. So anyway, we got a new recruit.
That problem. Yeah. Riley Van Poppel, defensive lineman.
6'4", 270, a 4-star recruit, according to 247. He's the 372nd best player nationally and 56th best player in Texas, ranked as an interior offensive lineman, but Nebraska is looking at him as on the defensive side.
I have a question about this.
I have an answer.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because right now I think we have eight recruits in the 2023 class. I know it's early and it's not big, but I think our class is ranked like 23 and 24. And what was this guy, a 4-star defensive lineman? Mm-hmm. And it looks like some of the other guys we're bringing in aren't terrible. How is it that we're still getting decent recruits and we were 3-9 in Scott Frost's 4th year?
Well, let's hold on. I do want to have that discussion. But there's a Riley Van Poppel note that I want to make, because when I hear Riley Van Poppel, defensive lineman, I think of another defensive lineman for Nebraska from 20 years ago by the name of anybody?
Kyle Vanden Bosch.
Kyle Vanden Bosch. And maybe it's just the van. Maybe it's that little bit, but I hear Kyle Van Poppel, I'm like, oh yeah, Vanden Bosch. Yeah, let's do it. I'm sorry, Riley Van Poppel, Kyle Vanden Bosch. I'm sorry. So for me, over the next, assuming Riley gets to Lincoln, stays here his entire career, I'm going to be interchanging them, forever. And let's hope that Riley has as successful a career in Lincoln as Kyle did.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So anyway, John, to answer your question, how is it that a 3-9 team that has really not shown any forward momentum in the Scott Frost era from a win-loss record perspective, how is it that we continue? I think you can look at a few things. You can look at facilities. Nebraska does have strong facilities. They have a strong fan support, although I'll be honest, sometimes I think that a fan base for Nebraska is at times detrimental because we are so divided. I mean, some aspects of the fan base are completely polar opposite. But it is a loyal fan base who at the end of the day wants to cheer on a successful Nebraska team. And buddy, we got that NIL, so people getting paid.
Todd?
I'd echo that. I think, though, that you also have to throw in that Nebraska does play in the Big Ten Conference. And, I think that matters. If you're not being recruited heavily by the SEC, it's, the second best conference out there. I think that, apparently the coaches that are on this staff are still good recruiters. If I did read a comment that Van Poppel made is that he's looking forward to getting here. He expects to be on the field real early in his career, maybe not the first year. So how about this? 3-9 team needs players. And maybe some of these better players are looking at the opportunity to get on the field a little bit sooner at Nebraska than maybe other places.
We got him over Michigan and Wisconsin
and Purdue and TCU, Texas Tech, Florida State, and Arkansas. I mean, so it's not like, I'm gonna say this without trying to be dismissive. It's not like we got him over like a Northern Illinois, South Dakota State, Kansas, Florida State is for all of the roller coasters that they've had the last few years, the highs and lows. That's a name, that's a brand. Michigan, Wisconsin, TCU, in Texas Tech are right there in his backyard. They're in Texas. Arkansas is the SEC connection. So, did he have? I try to say this as diplomatically as possible. Did he have better offers? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, there's a world where he sees, okay, we've got transfer portal guys coming in who are likely to play this year, likely to see the field this year. And he's a 2023 kid. So this time next year, he'll be graduating, coming on. I mean, I don't know, maybe he does an early, finishes up, in December, whatever that may be. So maybe he's on the field in the spring in practice, learning from, it's going to be a rich learning environment for him in 2023, whether it's spring and fall or fall and the season. I'm as hopeful, not to be that guy, not to be Captain Cynical and pessimistic, but I mean, he can commit all he wants and he can change his mind all he wants. So I'll be more excited when he gets on campus. But God dang, it's June. We're gonna have a much better fall this year than we've had. Let's drink some Kool-Aid. Let's have some fun, man. Woo, let's party.
I think it's also, props need to go to the coaching staff because they're busting their butts with recruiting. I mean, they are really working hard to get quality kids on campus. And that's been the philosophy around here for a long time. They always felt like if you can get kids on campus, if you can get them to visit, they're pretty solid in their belief that they can get them to commit.
I'll say this. I think to what you said, Todd, that the coaching staff is recruiting their ass off because you've got to look, I have to be I had to be a hell of a salesman to sell this to my wife, who's much prettier than me. They have to be tremendous salesmen to sell a Nebraska revival to a bunch of kids who aren't old enough now. I mean, we are guys who are you could go back the last few years. They weren't alive in the 90s. They're all they're seeing is, the ESPN top college football teams of all time type of lists. And maybe they're digging up some film somewhere of an Orange Bowl, but they have no knowledge of a good Nebraska. I mean, realistically, a strong Nebraska program. They might remember the Bo Pelini years where there were 9 and 10 win games and the losses were by 45 or 50 points, so whatever. I wish I could bottle whatever it is that the coaches are telling these kids and use it in my day-to-day life, use it in my field, because they're selling their asses off and they need to be commended for that, because it's easy to roll over and be like, we've been bad and we could really use your help, but I don't, I get it. You Ohio State's calling. Hey, they're whatever they're saying, it's working, and power to them. And if NIL is a boost to that, and I'm sure it is, then tremendous, terrific. More NIL, less of everything else.
John? You're supposed to add something there, Todd. I keep yawning.
Oh, well, it's
other than these kids weren't alive in the 90s.
But, they're expecting another big weekend, coming up. They're expecting to bring some, top quality kids on campus. And, it's good. It's a positive for the program. But, drink all the Kool-Aid you want, still have to get them here, still have to get their name on that letter of intent. So, they can't let down their guard. And ultimately, this football team needs to win in the fall. And because all of this work and all of this effort would be for naught if they can't put together a solid season. There's Mr. Cloudy Skies there.
Well, and so if you want to add a little doom and gloom, if it's not a good year, just the mass exodus, it would
mass exodus of what?
If it's not a good year, if it's a repeat of last year, it'll start with the head coach and it'll end with the backup long snapper. They'll all be like, "Look, this, I'm out of here." I'm going to go to Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, or Abilene State, or Tech, or some D2. I'll go to University of Nebraska Kearney, get my brains kicked in by Shadron State every year. Fucking lopers.
Wow. I could go into that, but we said that we were going to go keep this short.
Yeah. As short as John Specker. So
I once caught a fish this big.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else, John?
Yes, I have tons of things. We're going to save it till next week because
I just didn't know if you wanted to wish people like a happy week or something.
We were going to keep this short.
Okay. I'm very proud of us.
I wish people happy College World Series week because that's a big deal in Nebraska. And that starts this weekend.
Extra revenue for the state.
Absolutely. That'll be a fun time.
Texas is the favorite.
Not going to do it. They're not going to win it.
You don't think so?
Todd, do you have a prognostication? The Nostradamus effect?
I'm going to think that Arkansas is playing very, very good right now. So there's my prediction.
That was more of an
just
observation.
One more thing, damn it. Just one more thing.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
A message board geniuses had a tweet this week about the Texas fan base at the Eastern Carolina Regional. And it was just absolutely phenomenal if it was true. But it said the Texas fans complained to the police that the ECU fans should not be cheering while they were singing The Eyes of Texas and wanted the police to stop the ECU fans from doing this. Then in the first game, a few ECU fans, mainly kids, did the hook 'em horn sign upside down near their section. I guess Texas had that banned in the Big 12 as a derogatory gesture. They tried to get the police to kick those ECU fans out of the stadium. This is on a Tennessee message board. And it's just
Texas's ego is so overblown.
Then there was a guy who was selected to sing the national anthem at the College World Series, who sang the national anthem at the softball College World Series when Oklahoma State played Texas. And apparently there's a Go Pokes sign or whatever. And he gave the Go Pokes sign for Oklahoma State. And when he finished the national anthem in the game, he did horns down. He was a Texas Aggie. He's an A&M grad. So he did horns down after he sang the national anthem. And he said within 3 hours of him doing that, he was notified by the NCAA that he would not be allowed to sing the national anthem in Omaha at the College World Series. So what higher ups from the University of Texas got on the phone to the NCAA? You talk about a bunch of whiny little snowflakes. Obscene gesture, that's obscene. Come on. That's bullshit.
They're going to have it. When are they going to the SEC? It's still a couple of years yet, isn't it?
2020.
They're going to get crucified in the SEC.
I want them to move right now.
They're going to realize when they get over there that they are no longer the big fish, and nobody's going to kowtow to their, anyways, like it's funny. Yeah. This is not an obscene gesture. I think I told this story a couple of weeks back when my oldest was at a classmate's birthday party. My wife texted me. She's like, Garrett got his fingers smashed by a rock. Apparently one of his buddies had picked up a big rock and it kind of slipped out, fell. Anyway, it bruised the hell out of his fingertip right here. So whenever he's showing it off, he's doing this. He's like, see, you see my nail? See my nail? I'm like, and God bless him, he's 6, so he doesn't know. But I'm like, okay, but that's and I don't take it as that because again, he's 6, he's just showing his injury. But like, this is, at least to some obscene. This is just funny. Yeah. So.
Texas is going to try to throw their weight around. This is why I want
they will. They'll try to take over the SEC. Yeah, I mean, they'll give it a shot.
I want them to move right now. Can they move right now?
Before we go, while we're talking about it real quick, and I know John wants to get out of here because we're all old and crotchety. What programs in the SEC could they actually push around? Vanderbilt.
Nobody.
Not even a Vanderbilt.
No. Vanderbilt's one of the best baseball programs in the nation.
I guess maybe I was thinking specifically football, but okay. I guess we'll go broad. We'll go broad spectrum here.
No,
I think the SEC is going to look at them and go, "Fuck you, newcomers. Who do you think you are? We've been around for many, many, many years, and you fuckers just showed up."
SEC is going to have more respect for Oklahoma than they will Texas.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is because, I guess you could go back a few years where Baker Mayfield did the whole, plant the flag at Ohio Stadium, things like that, which was funny where he ended up, starting his NFL career. But Oklahoma, I know that, they're evil in our eyes, but it's that respected evil type. I just feel like they're more like, keep your head down, take care of business. Whereas Texas has to have a flashing neon sign saying, look at me, look at me, look at me all the time. And I think that's just what rubs everybody the wrong way.
You're absolutely right.
It's just, a constant arrogance.
What we need to do, I think, since it is the off season and we could, when we're a little bit short on content, let's beat up Texas. Let's just hammer Texas. There's a great Twitter account out there. Does Iowa suck today? And every day when I look at it, the response is yes, and definitely, or more so than yesterday. Things. So that could be like a portion of our program. Does Texas suck today? Yes.
Then we'd be infatuated with Texas.
Yeah, we don't want them to come back and say
they can't live in our heads.
We're living rent free in your heads.
Yeah.
So
I know what our next week's topic has to be.
Uh-oh.
The Big Ten's new TV deal.
Yeah. I think that'd be a great topic. Write that down.
That. Okay, write it down.
Write that down, Dad.
Write that down.
Is that it then? Are we all
we
buttoned up? John wants to go. I think this has gone on. What?
I got all my energy out of me now.
He's fading. He's fading fast. That is it for this episode of the 5 Heart Podcast, and we have had some fun. We've tried to keep it in a condensed and more easily digestible 35-ish minutes. So we thank you very much for coming along for the ride. We couldn't do it. Really, this show is nothing without Todd Wolverton, and God bless him. The fact he didn't have to do the intro today, that is a blessing all to itself. Just kidding, Todd. And of course, we wouldn't be where we are without John Dam Johnston, because without John Dam Johnston, coordination.com would be nothing. We'd be called like Bug Eaters Express or fucking Hail Varsity or some shit. So, so we appreciate the both of you. Of course, I'm Greg Mahochko. We remind you this week and every week that 5 heart is all the heart you need. John?
Arr, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.